Being a student can be tough. There's plenty of things to worry about. Classes, homework, exams, you name it. But one thing you shouldn't have to worry about is what to eat during your busy schedule. Today we'll be taking a look at 2 brand new budget-friendly recipes and show you some tips for how you can make your kitchen experience the best it can be. I'm your host, Haley Marks, and this is Campus Cooking. Right now I'm sitting with a fellow Haley, and we're going to talk a little bit about food. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm great.
Of course, anytime. So let's just jump right into it. What are your favorite things to eat here on campus?
I really like the sushi, and I really like Freshens. I really like their smoothies, and I love their salads, but you know, I try to keep it on the healthier side, you know. Those are just like the more fresh options that I feel comfortable eating.
Do you find that there are enough healthy options here?
No, sometimes yes, sometimes no. It really depends. There is a lot of healthy options on campus, but not all of them are that great, and it's kind of hard to find fall into that place, I guess. But I mean, for the most part, there are like healthy and kind of like vegan-esque type options. You know what I mean?
Do you find that it is tough to stay on budget while you're here on campus?
It's definitely tough to stay on budget because, I mean, you get a meal plan and then, you know, you're going to buy all this food, and at the end of the day, it's pretty expensive.
Is that the reason that you tend to cook rather than eating at the dining facilities here on campus?
Absolutely. It's a lot easier and a lot cheaper to cook than eating on campus. I mean, you can go to a supermarket and you can buy a meal for a week for $10, you know, and go to campus and buy a meal for that day for $10 for just like lunch, you know.
Of course.
And, you know, living in the dorms, I mean, it's not easy. You don't have like a full kitchen, but I mean, you know, I like to cook a lot of pasta and, you know, stuff like that, and try to keep it like, you know, on the cheaper side. It's hard to run on a college budget, you know. It's tough being a student.
It is, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me and talking to me about all the delicious options here on campus.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. All right, now let's head back into the kitchen to see what we're gonna cook up instead. Today, the first thing we'll be making is baked egg and spinach. This is a really easy, healthy recipe with tons of protein that is just perfect for any meal. The things you will need for this recipe are some fresh spinach, some chives, 1 or 2 eggs, up to you, just a bit of thyme, you don't need much of it for this recipe, about a half a cup of ricotta cheese, and just a few drops of lemon juice. The first step in this recipe is taking our chives and cutting them up into small pieces. I'm just gonna gather them up just like this in a little pile, and we're just going to cut them. And when you're finished, you can just set them aside. After cutting our chives, I've moved over to the stove where we're going to cook our spinach. I've already pre-salted the water and brought it to a nice boil at about medium to low heat. And we're just going to take our spinach and put it into the pot for about 3 minutes. After we finish cooking up our spinach, we move back over to the counter where we're going to add the rest of our ingredients, starting with our ricotta cheese. We're just going to get it to the very bottom of the pan and spread it out so that it coats all of the spinach. And now we're going to drizzle on our lemon juice, just a few drops, nothing more. And now we're going to add our egg. So for that, you're just going to carefully tilt it over. And finally, we're going to add just a couple of sprigs of thyme. So for that, we're going to just peel off some of the leaves off of the stem. Now that all of our ingredients are all ready, we're ready to bake. So let's head over to the oven. I've already preheated the oven to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're just gonna bake for about 12 to 15 minutes. Have leftovers sitting in your fridge? If you have a pan, take vegetables, oil, and any rice or noodles you have, and make an easy stir-fry dinner. The best part is improvising, but if you're not so confident in your cooking skills yet, look up easy recipes online for ideas and instructions. If you're reheating leftovers, drizzle some water over your food to keep it from drying out in the microwave. For our second recipe, we're going to be making pasta with zucchini and ricotta cheese. The great thing about this recipe is we're reusing the ricotta cheese that we already used in our baked egg recipe. Reusing ingredients, always a plus. So for this recipe, we're going to need some ricotta cheese, about a cup of it, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, a cup of zucchini, and of course some pasta. For this recipe, I used elbow pasta, but any other kind of pasta works. I've also already cooked the pasta. The first step in this recipe is sauteing our zucchini, so let's head over to the stove and get to work. The first thing I've done is coated the pan with olive oil and raised it to medium heat. And now we're just going to add the zucchini in. And once that's done cooking after about a minute of sizzling there, we're gonna add our ricotta cheese and mix it in once the zucchinis are nice and soft. Once I add the ricotta and mix it in, we're just gonna let that cook there for another couple minutes. Once our zucchini is fully softened and mixed in with our ricotta cheese, let's take it back so we can mix it in with our pasta. All right, so after bringing our mixture over, we're gonna add it to our pasta and just stir it in there real nice. Yeah. It smells so good. And there you have it, 2 beautiful and budget-friendly recipes. Well, that's all we have for you today. Make sure to follow us on Facebook for updates and more creative recipes. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, keep the campus cooking.